ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's episode of Mikey's Saturday Nightmares. Alright, thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope you're enjoying the content as I'm getting it put out. On today's video, we're going to talk about a film that came out back in 1988. And it was directed by a young man by the name of Kevin S. Tenney. And Kevin S. Tenney has directed a lot of good horror films back in the day. Some of them that include Witchboard, The Cellar, and a little film called Endangered Species. Now, Endangered Species, I think if memory serves, now I'm getting up there in years, but if memory serves, I've seen that film one time, and it was okay to watch one time, but it's not one of those that I would go back and constantly rewatch over and over. So it was okay. It was all right. But the other two, the Witchboard and The Cellar, those two films are classic 80s goodness right there. I'm telling you. Witchboard, if you've never seen Witchboard, and if you're familiar with daytime soaps, my mom watched daytime soaps all the time, so I grew up having to watch that crap because she wouldn't let me change the channel. She was a big fan of the soap opera Days of Our Lives. And Stephen Nichols, that plays in Witchboard, played Patch on Days of Our Lives. So I was familiar with him when I seen this film, when I seen Witchboard, and it's a great film. It's a great film. It stars Stephen Nichols, Tawny Kitane's in it. Man, when she put up that White Snake video, jeez. Okay, all right, moving on. The Cellar, the movie The Cellar, starred Patrick Kilpatrick, and he was synonymous with 80s films and 90s films, of course. But he always played the bad guy in those. And in The Cellar, he starts out as a bad guy and kind of, leans to the good side. It was a decent movie. It was a real decent movie. But Endangered Species I've only seen once, so, I really didn't care too much for that one. And the film we're going to talk about today from 1988, Mr. Tenney's Night of the Demons. And this was a decent horror film. It was a blockbuster by no means, but it has a huge cult following. And the film starred Kathy Podwell, or Podwell. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I'm not pronouncing it right, but anyways. She played the character of Judy, and she was also in the TV movie Earth Angel, Beverly Hills Brats, and a little film called Reunion from Hell, and I've seen none of those. I'm kind of familiar a little bit with the Earth Angel. I think I remember seeing like a trailer or something for it when it came out back in the day. But, I was a kid. I didn't want to watch that junk. So I don't really know a whole lot about her other films here. So we're going to move on to Alvin Alexis also starred in the film, and he played the character of Roger. And he also starred in such films as The Wiz, Brother from Another Planet, and For Love or Money. Now, The Wiz was kind of a redo of Wizard of Oz. It had like Michael Jackson, and it was a full-blown musical. I watched it at an early age, and it was a good film. I kind of enjoyed the music, and and all that stuff in it. It was a decent film. I haven't seen it in years, though. I have not seen it in years. The brother from Another Planet. Never heard of it. Now, For Love or Money actually starred Michael J. Fox. So that, and I haven't watched that film, so I'm not familiar with it. So I don't know what kind of character he plays in that film. But Alvin Alexis played Roger in this film. He does a real good job. Of being scared. And the film stars one of the great scream queens of the 80s, Miss Lowena Quigley herself. She plays the character of Suzanne, and she's also played in such films as Return of the Living Dead, Silent Night, Deadly Night, and a little slasher film called Graduation Day. Now, I've seen all three of those films. Um, she earns the title of Scream Queen in each one of those films. She was fantastic in Silent Night, Deadly Night. Just had a little part in it, but still, it was enough to propel her career. The one that I think really made her career, um, the two that really made her career, um, Silent Night, Deadly Night was the start of it, and Return of the Living Dead and this film just shot her out of the cannon. In Return of the Living Dead, she played the character of Trash, and spoiler alert: when she turned into a zombie, oh my god, the prosthetics, the special, the makeup was incredible on her. She looked fantastic, and creepy all at the same time. She was fantastic in that film. So the plot for this film is 10 teenagers party at an abandoned funeral parlor on Halloween night. When an evil force awakens, demonic spirits keep them from leaving and turn their gathering into a living hell. All right, so let's check out the trailer for Night of the Demons. Let's get it.
A full moon. A spooky, deserted mansion. Halloween night.
All right, dudes! And dusters! Let's party!
10 kids. All they want to do is raise a little hell. Now, as long as they live, they'll wonder what's gotten into them. Night of the Demons.
Blessed be the sinners, for the day of atonement is at hand.
Stop looking at me.
We're gonna get out of here!
Night of the Demons. Party till you drop.
Okay, that was the trailer for Night of the Demons from 1988, directed by Kevin Tenney. This is not a big blockbuster film. I'll give you that. But like I said, this movie has a tremendous cult following, and it's one of those that I would sit down and watch on Halloween. You know, just one of those classic, movies that you want to sit and you want to watch to celebrate Halloween. This is one of those films. I'm sorry, this is just one of those films. The budget for this film was $1,200,000, and the worldwide gross for the film was $3,109,904. So not a humongous profit off of this film. I think a lot of the revenue and the gross from the film came from the DVD release or the VHS release when it was released out. So it probably got some cash from that. But it wasn't a big blockbuster film by any means. Okay, so the notes for this film was Amelia Kincaid, who played the character of Angela in the film, choreographed her own dance routine. She has a spot in the film where after she has been possessed by the demonic spirit, that she goes into this full blown gothic dance to kind of draw in some of the other characters in the film. So she choreographed that whole dance sequence. There was a scene in the film with Miss Quigley that became the most talked about scene in movie history almost. I think the infamous lipstick scene was cleared with Quigley beforehand, and she met with Steve Johnson, who made a cast of her breasts for the scene. The prosthetics and the effects for that scene were incredible. It's something you've never seen before. I'll guarantee you that if you watch this film. And come to find out, she later on ended up marrying Steve Johnson. So she found love on the set of Night of the Demons. Who would have thunk it? Who would have thunk it? But that scene in in the film, if you've already seen it, you know what I'm talking about. That scene just was just creepy and just fantastic. The way they filmed it, fantastic. Um, the filmmakers asked Quigley to come in to audition for the character of Suzanne because they saw her as trash in Night of the Living Dead. Like I said, now her character of trash in Night of the Living Dead, that was a fantastic role for her. It really was. And like I said, the makeup effects and stuff they had to put on her after she turned into a zombie, fantastic, fantastic. Um, the house that was used as the main location in the film was eventually demolished and replaced by a Ralph's supermarket. That kind of makes me sad. Um, Even though this movie was not a big blockbuster film, and and it didn't pull in a lot of revenue for the company that made the film, it was still a excuse me. It was still a place people would have loved to have been able to go to and visit the location, maybe even tour some of the house, and created revenue there. But sadly, like it says, it was demolished and replaced by a supermarket chain. Uh, that's just to me that's just sad. That's sad. Um, Also, although he is uncredited, Frank Welker provides the voice for Angela when she is possessed. Now, for those of you who don't know who Frank Welker is, Frank Welker has done a lot of cartoon voices, especially back in the 80s, the early 80s, late 80s, and 90s, um, and so on. I mean, he did the voice of Scooby Doo. He did voices for Jabberjaw, all these early 80s Saturday morning cartoons, horror films, just all kinds of stuff that he got into and lent his voice to. He's a fantastic guy. Not that I've ever met him, but his resume speaks for itself. A fantastic voice guy uh, for these films. So even though it wasn't a big even though it wasn't a big blockbuster film, it's a cult classic for a reason. If you have not seen this film, definitely go back and check this film out. It is one of my favorite horror films. One of my favorites. Um, this is one of the films that I had told you that a guy, one of the subscribers, had sent me a list of films. This is one of those. Um, I never even thought of doing this film on the channel because there was just so many movies just going through my head. Do this, do this, do this. Uh, Thank you so much for recommending that movie because it was one of those that would have escaped my mind completely had I not been reminded of it. So thank you for that. And it was like I said, it was a cult classic, and it is one of those films that I will sit and watch, even on, especially on Halloween time. It's just, it's a great low budget, campy horror film from back in the day, and it is a good movie. I think it's a great movie. It's a great film. Like I said, the special effects and stuff are fantastic. The kill scenes are pretty cool. not, big budget per se, but they are some good kills in this film. And it had to have had it had to have a good cult following, or enough revenue coming in, because they made two more films. They made two more. The second one was more. The second one was horror, but it was more campy, even more campy than the first one. And the third one was just, I don't know. It's not one of my favorites. I would watch it. I own it. But it's just not one of my favorite ones out of the set. But it is a decent watch if you haven't seen it before. So definitely, if you watch the first film and you want to watch the other two, by all means, watch them and enjoy them. By all means, go right on ahead. So, with that being said, we're going to end the video here. I hope you enjoyed the intro. It's a new intro. I don't know if I'm going to stick with it or not, because I still kind of like the Wolfman intro. But anyways, we'll see how this one works. I may switch back and forth from time to time. But I hope you liked it, because I kind of finagled with it a little bit and got it set. But like I said, I'm going to end the video here. Now, Monday, or Tuesday, there will be a Mikey's Movie Rampage on Tuesday. And there will be a Classic Movie Buffet Theater on Thursday. Now, next Saturday, there will not be a Saturday Nightmares episode. That is the day, that is moving day. That will be the actual moving day. So I will be tied up with moving into the new spot and everything. And then after I get moved in on, hopefully, at least by Sunday, hopefully I'll be able to put a video out the following week. Maybe not until the following Saturday once I get moved in. I'll keep you guys posted on that and aware of the progress that I'm going. So with that being said, I will see you guys on Tuesday for Mikey's Movie Rampage. Until then, have a good one, folks.